All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly kind of dystopian essay titled The Looming Conflict Over Artificial Intelligence. You know, we talk a lot about AI capabilities these days, right? The code, the neural networks, the mind blowing things these models can pump out. But the source material we're looking at today takes a totally different angle. It warns of this inevitable destructive collision course. And get this, it's not a collision between humans and machines like some blockbuster sci-fi movie. No, this is a clash between humans over the machines. It's just a profound look at human nature, our endless pursuit of convenience, and where this intense ideological divide might actually lead us.
Right out of the gate, the author hooks us with this wild scenario. They ask, what happens if those pro-AI and against the AI revolution end up clashing with all forms? It instantly sets the stage for a dramatic narrative about human division. And honestly, we're already seeing the early seeds of this debate, aren't we? You've got people who fiercely believe AI is going to cure diseases and solve literally all of our worldly problems. Then you've got those who firmly believe it's going to wipe out jobs, destroy privacy, and strip away human meaning. But we're being asked to imagine a world where this doesn't just stay a polite debate on social media. What happens when these deeply held, opposing beliefs actually crash into each other?
So, how did we even get to this point of tension? Well, according to the text, it all stems from our absolute obsession with convenience. For people who think humanity has kind of reached its innovative limits, the natural next step is just taking the path of least resistance. We naturally gravitate toward whatever removes friction from our daily lives. We are blindly following these highly affordable tech trends simply because they promise us a completely frictionless existence. But the essay argues that this exact desire for convenience is the very thing leading us down a super dangerous path. Because we're so driven by this need for convenience, we are actively seeking out knowledge that is vastly more powerful than we are. We want the answers, and we want them right this second. We want a system that can outthink us, outwrite us, and outcalculate us, purely because it makes our daily routines that much easier. We often like to think we've reached the absolute pinnacle of human innovation, but the text warns us that this blind pursuit, basically trading our own brainpower for the convenience of an all-knowing machine, might lead us somewhere incredibly dark. We're actively building something infinitely more powerful than natural humans just to make life a little bit easier. But here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of just looking forward into some sci-fi future, the author pivots. They connect our modern obsession with superintelligence directly to the distant past. It's a brilliant reframing, really. We love to think of our AI revolution as entirely unprecedented, like this is a truly unique moment in the history of the cosmos. But psychologically, we've actually been here before. We're falling into a very familiar pattern of behavior, one that humans have been doing for millennia. The source points out the sheer absurdity of this. They write about the idea of, quote, bending, kneeling down in front of a machine, acknowledging the superintelligence. That happened in the past centuries ago. We are basically repeating a historical loop. It isn't a new phenomenon at all. When we stare at our screens, just in complete awe of what a large language model can spit out, waiting for it to bestow these flawless answers upon us, we're echoing the exact same behavior of our ancestors who knelt before statues, idols, and objects they fiercely believed held supernatural power. Think about it like this. In the past, humanity sought answers from non-living, non-speaking stones or animal creatures, treating them as gods or goddesses. They literally prayed to things that couldn't speak back. And today? Today, we turn to humming servers, microchips, and these massive, high-power consuming data centers. Our reverence hasn't changed in the slightest. We still desperately want an all-knowing oracle to guide us. The only difference is that the objects of our worship have become infinitely more complex, massively more expensive, and potentially deadly if misused. We traded silent stones for server racks, but that human instinct to surrender to a higher power, exactly the same. Okay, let's fast forward back to today. If we treat this tech like a modern oracle, what happens when we completely disagree on how to use it? Society begins to splinter. We're seeing factions tear society apart, and it's not over territory or traditional resources like water or oil. We're dividing ourselves purely for the sake of convenience and for the ultimate control over this incredibly powerful knowledge. The text actually breaks this impending conflict down into three distinct camps. First, you've got the advocates for what the author calls fully irresponsible AI. These are the folks who want absolutely no limits, zero guardrails, just pure, unadulterated technological acceleration.
Second, you have the general pro-AI supporters. They just want the tech integrated into society safely. And third, you have the fiercely anti-AI protesters who oppose its use entirely. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that these are human beings protesting for their own causes. This isn't a war of the machines. These are regular, non-machine people fighting each other over the mere idea of the machine. And this is where things get pretty scary. The title of the essay is The Looming Conflict, and this is exactly where that conflict materializes. Because the more AI becomes the foundation of everything in our society, the higher the stakes become for these three factions. The tension simply cannot remain a polite series of debates or peaceful protests forever. The pressure has to go somewhere, right? The essay flat out warns us that these philosophical debates won't stay theoretical. They are going to escalate. The text states that someday the arguments will turn into a fire or a literal physical fight. When people's livelihoods, their core personal beliefs, and their entire visions for the future of humanity are entirely wrapped up in whether we adopt or reject superintelligence, well, those disagreements are going to spill out into the physical world. AI could literally become the ultimate catalyst for human-on-human conflict. And if you look at how this plays out based on the text, there are absolutely no winners here, none. The pro-AI factions, they face catastrophic damage. The anti-AI factions, same thing, catastrophic damage. But the crazy irony here is that the innovators and the AI startups, the very people building the tech, are predicted to lose badly. They get caught entirely in the crossfire of this massive societal war. Because both opposing sides are using the exact same technology to fight each other, the resulting destruction wipes out the very infrastructure those innovators spent their lives trying to build. Which brings us to, honestly, the most chilling prediction of the whole piece. This mutual destruction could regress society completely. The clash could turn people to those old days of using a non-living, non-speaking a stone or animal creature as gods or goddesses, yet no answers. If this physical fight over AI destroys the data centers, the chips, and the global power grids, we're left with absolutely nothing. The ultimate bitter irony is that our relentless pursuit of an all-knowing digital god could ultimately destroy our civilization and leave us right back where we started centuries ago, standing in the dirt, worshiping silent stones that can't give us any answers. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one final provocative question. If the arguments over AI do turn into a physical fight, will our pursuit of superintelligence lead us right back to the Stone Age? It's a really heavy thought, but it's one this source absolutely demands we ask ourselves right now. It forces us to look past the shiny code and the convenience and deeply examine the human element, our factions, our history, and our capacity for conflict. Thanks for joining me to unpack this today. Keep asking those big questions and keep learning.